SLT Fibre and experience the power of fibre technology. Sri Lanka's only super fast internet connection. SLT Fibre. Call 1212.
Tonight, widening net. 2 more disciples of Easter attack ringleader arrested, while a stash of explosives recovered from Pale. Under scrutiny, Cardinal insists political neutrality. Takes aim at the government. 7th round of talks. The SLFP and the SLPP conclude latest coalition discussions on a high note. Battle for the Amazon. Brazil rejects aid from G7 countries to help tackle Amazon fires. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Tuesday, the 27th of August, 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nava Lifebuoy Cool Fresh සහ Lemon Fresh Menthol සහ Lemon සාරයෙන් දහදිය ගඳ ඇති කරන සැඟවුණු විස බීජ වලින් ආරක්ෂා කර ඔබව ෆ්‍රෙෂ් කරයි. විස බීජ off, fresh එක on.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamika Michael. Let's start with your local stories. A search operation conducted by the Police Terrorist Investigation Division in the locality of Karandenia in Pale of Jaffna has led to the discovery of a concealed stash of explosives, firearms as well as various other weapons. The operation was launched after information was obtained from a recently arrested judicial medical officer of the Pale Hospital. He is suspected of having terror links.
On the 18th of August, Judicial Medical Officer of the Palali Hospital of Jaffna, Sinnaiya Sivaruban, was arrested by Army and handed over to the Police Terrorist Investigation Division, after which he was detained at the Jaffna Terrorist Investigation Unit. Police media spokesperson SP Ruwangunasekara said that during interrogations, Sivaruban had revealed information on a concealed stash of weapons, after which a search operation was launched. It yielded the discovery of various weapons from the area of Karandia within the Palali Police Division, which included an AK-47 firearm, 2 magazines, 11 hand grenades, 10 kg of what is suspected to be TNT and plastic explosives, 120 rounds of ammunition, a telephone and a multitude of other equipment. SP Gunasekara added that a police team of the TID led by an ASP in the locality to conduct further investigations on the suspect. In the meantime, another 2 suspects who had undergone terror training at the hands of Easter attacks ringleader Zahran Hashim were arrested from Ampara. The police media spokesperson said the arrests are the result of a tip-off received by the State Intelligence Service. Preliminary investigations have revealed that the duo had maintained links with organizations National Tawhid Jamaat and Lamate Millati Ibrahim. It is revealed that the 2 suspects had received training with Zahran at terror training camps operated in Nuwara and Hambantota.
Among the 2 suspects who were taken into custody are Mohammed Raizuddin Abdul Rahman from Wattegedere in Polgolla. He was given the alias Abu Anas by the terrorist organization. Investigations revealed that he received training in Nuwara. The other suspect was identified as Zainul Abdin Hafsal, alias Abu Rava, from Kondeniyagoda in Mavanella. He received training in Hambantota. They are currently in custody of the Ampara police, where further investigations are underway. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, is keeping a close eye on the government's attitude towards the proposed independent commission to probe the Easter Sunday attacks. Speaking to media in Kandy today, the Cardinal said that the government's response towards the proposal is vital, lamenting that all manner of extremism is left to flourish in the country unabated. Visiting President of the Italian Bishops' Conference, His Eminence Cardinal Gualtiero Bassetti, and Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, today visited the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy. Following the tour of the sacred temple, Cardinal Ranjith spoke to media.
ඔබවහන්සේ ප්‍රකාශ කළ තිබ්බා පාස්ටර් ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ස්වාධීන ජනාධිපති කොමිසමක් පත් කරන අයෙකුට පමණ ඔබවහන්සේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් සහයෝගයක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. මේ වෙනුවට ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහතා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පොරොන්දුවක් ලබා දී තියෙනවා ඔබ වහන්සේට. ඔබ වහන්සේගේ සහාය ගෝඨාභය මහතාට ලැබෙනවද මොකක්ද ඒ තත්ත්වය?
නෑ එහෙම එකක් කියන්නේ නෑනේ අපි කවදාවත්.
That's not the case. In any case, we are never partial towards a particular party. So the people should be able to judge. A catastrophe befell the people, and those in power too should do something to alleviate their pain. Members of the opposition giving us a promise is no use to us. Those in power are still silent, and we need a response from them, for they are capable. I even wrote to the president, but the response wasn't favourable.
නමුත් එච්චර සුබවාදී ප්‍රතිචාරයක් මට ලැබුණේ නැහැ.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහතා නිවේදනයක් නිකුත් කළා තමයි මේක. එතුමායි කරන ප්‍රකාශය ඔබ වහන්සේ විශ්වාස කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
එතුමාට දේශපාලන බලයක් නැහැනේ.
He doesn't have political power to take action, so I know it's only a pledge. What we are focused on is the response of those in power, such as the president and the prime minister.
මේකට මොකක්ද දක්වන ප්‍රතිචාරය කියලායි අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නේ.
ඔබ වහන්සේ හිතනවද ඔය පරීක්ෂණ කටයුතු ස්වාධීන කොමිසම ඒ සිදුවෙන පරීක්ෂණ කටයුතු සාධාරණ විශ්තුනා කියලා ඔබ වහන්සේ ඒ පිළිබඳව
ජනාධිපතිතුමා පත් කරපු
Although the Presidential Commission's report was produced, it was not released to the public. I was notified that until such time that the Attorney General makes a decision, they cannot do anything.
පාස්කු සිද්ධිය වගේ යලි එවැනි අවාසනාවන්ත සිද්ධීන් ඇති නොවන්නට නම් ගත යුතු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග පිළිබඳව
ගාක් දේවල් කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද
A lot has to be done. Given the current state of the country, such incidents cannot be prevented since extremism is allowed to flourish in every manner possible. The time has come to think about the country anew.
තවරක් අලුතෙන් හිතන්න කාලය ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
Interpol's Secretary General Jürgen Stock has praised the swift measures taken by President Maithripala Sirisena, the Ministry of Defence and Sri Lanka Police, as well as the intelligence services, to apprehend those responsible for the April 21st terror attacks. In appreciation of the action taken, Jürgen Stock presented President Sirisena with an Interpol medal at the President's office in Colombo today. President Sirisena in turn expressed gratitude to the Interpol Secretary General for immediately responding to a request made by Sri Lanka for investigation assistance. While praising the high professionalism of Sri Lanka Police and intelligence services, Stock had said that the Interpol maintains a database and intelligence services that could access data through Interpol Asia office in Singapore, therefore enabling prompt response. Meanwhile, the head of state also requested further cooperation with Interpol to detect drug smugglers and to capture as well as extradite persons involved in drug smuggling and financial crimes to Sri Lanka. According to the President's office, the Interpol Secretary General had assured their fullest cooperation to Sri Lanka, adding that a new agreement could be reached to provide drug trafficking police tools and expertise to law enforcement officials. The round of discussions between the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and Sri Lanka Freedom Party held today seems to have concluded on a positive note, spelling hope for a possible alliance between the two factions. Speaking to media after the talks, representatives of both parties affirmed that a final decision will be made after the leaders of the two parties come together for talks.
The seventh round of discussions between the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was worked off at the opposition leader's office in Colombo this morning. The near 2-hour-long talks were attended by parliamentarians Dayasiri Jayasekara, Mahinda Amaraweera and Lasantha Alagiyawanna representing the SLFP, while Basil Rajapaksha and Professor G.L. Pieris represented the SLPP.
The talks were successful. A discussion between the leaders of the two parties is required, and both sets of representatives will report to their respective parties, and a decision will be made after. Yes, we agreed to several policies. There were also policies submitted to be forwarded to the presidential candidate that we think are very good. One of them is the change to the electoral system as well as limiting the cabinet, which coincide with our plans. What was important to us was policy decisions. Some ideas were exchanged on the presidential candidate. What's more important is the program. What our party wants to champion is a program rather than an individual. A view was put forth to facilitate a meeting between the president and the former president, and it'll happen soon. We also hope to conduct a discussion with Gotabaya Rajapaksa. A message which is good for the country will soon be delivered. Now, in the meantime, SLFP's Central Committee has made a decision to take swift action against members who violated party's discipline and order. Parliamentarians S.B. Disanayake and Mahinda Samarasinha, who held positions of treasurer and media spokesperson of the party respectively, have been removed from their posts.
SLFP's Central Committee meeting chaired by Party Leader President Maithripala Sirisena was held yesterday at President's official residence in Colombo. During its proceedings, Parliamentarian Lasantha Alagiyawanna was appointed as Treasurer of the SLFP, replacing Parliamentarian S.B. Disanayake. Parliamentarian Veerakumara Disanayake meanwhile replaced Parliamentarian Mahinda Samarasinha as the party's media spokesperson. Following the meeting yesterday, several MPs expressed these views to journalists.
අපි අවශ්‍ය වුණොත් පොට්ටුවත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා දිගටම යන ලෑස්ති ඒක අසාර්ථක වුණොත් තනි පක්ෂයක් විදියට තරඟ කරන්න අපි ලෑස්ති කියලා අපි ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
We also made a decision to take swift action against public representatives of the party who violated the party's discipline. As a party, we considered three options. One is an SLFP member contesting the election. Second is whether the party would support a presidential candidate from another party. Third is not to support any candidate and remain without representing a candidate ourselves. We, however, completely disregarded this third option.
Meanwhile, during a media briefing today, General Secretary of the SLFP, Parliamentarian Dasiri Jayasekara, had this to say about decisions made at the party's Central Committee meeting.
We received a special request to take necessary action against SLFP parliamentarians who have joined with the UNP along with the party's other members who are with separate political parties. So we decided that action must be taken regarding those SLFP parliamentarians who came from the national list with the President's trust to later join with the UNP and the SLPP. The President always advises us not to make party decisions based on his. He never talked about this even when the SLFP Central Committee asked him about it. We are happy that he is not a member of any political party. I told all of you the other day that we are in need of a national leader. He plans on governing the country under a set of principles. So we have no problem with him obtaining the party's membership.
අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂ විදිහට අපේ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකෙක් ඉන්නවා. මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපි තාම මේකෙන් බැහැර වෙලා නැහැ.
Now, UPFA parliamentarian S.B. Disanayake alleges that some members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party want to join the United National Party. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, the parliamentarian also alleged that some members of the SLFP are contemplating various gambits to merge the party with the UNP. Some of our parliamentarians and ministers who harbour issues with Rajapakshas as well as the SLFP wanted to bring the SLFP and the UNP together, and they're continuing their efforts. Even now, some attempt to join the UNP alliance through the JHU without directly crossing over to the UNP. MP Lasantha Alagiyawanna, who was appointed as the treasurer of the SLFP yesterday, is one of them. I think opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa nominated the presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa together with the chairman of the SLFP and President Maithripala Sirisena.
Meanwhile, speaking at the same forum, former governor of Northern Province Reginald Kure was mournful of the fact that SLFP continues to lose its members.
Sri Lanka Nidahas Paksha
SLFP is facing a slow death owing to the chaos given rise to by the direction, aims and principles of the party. SLFP has become an entity which is functioning without its head, and the foundation of the party is already cracked. I will clearly obtain the membership of the SLPP.
පැහැදිලිවම පොදුජන පෙරමුණේ සමාජිකත්වය මම ලබා ගන්නවා.
The disciplinary committee of the United National Party in the meantime has decided to launch an inquiry against non-cabinet ministers Ajit P. Pereira and Sujiva Senasinghe and have requested the duo to submit their explanations to the UNP General Secretary before the 9th of September. The two non-cabinet ministers stand accused of criticising the party's leadership as well as the party's actions. Meanwhile, the party leaders held a meeting, the party leaders meeting on the formation of the United National Party-led National Democratic Front alliance ended in a stalemate earlier this evening.
General Secretary of the United National Party, Minister Kleviraj Karivasan, sent a letter to non-cabinet ministers Sujiva Senasinghe and Ajit P. Pereira informing them of the party's disciplinary committee's decision to hold an inquiry against the duo over several matters. The respective letters state that the two non-cabinet ministers have criticised the United National Party, the UNP leadership, the UNP Working Committee and the party's actions, which are in violation of the party's constitution. Preliminary discussions relating to the matters were to be held with the duo at the party's headquarters in Sirikota today, but they did not attend the meeting. Thereby, non-cabinet ministers Ajit P. Pereira and Sujiva Senasinghe were instructed to submit their explanations to the UNP General Secretary before the 9th of September.
Those are lies. Showing your support to someone is a democratic right. They cannot hold a disciplinary inquiry. We will not be discouraged. I do not believe that ministers Ajit P. Pereira and Sujiva Senasinghe committed any action that is in violation of the party's rules and regulations as well as its constitution. Therefore, all they have to do is respond to the letter sent by the party with their explanation, then the matter will be resolved. There are many who said that they hope he will be fielded as the UNP's candidate. If it is so, then there should be disciplinary action against them as well.
Meanwhile, a special discussion was held with relevant party leaders on the formation of the UNP-led National Democratic Front and matters relating to the presidential candidate. Speaking to media today, United University Teachers Association said that a survey conducted in 10 zones across the island showed that the most suitable individual to be nominated as presidential candidate from the UNP is Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya.
A few of us from the Peradeniya University conducted a survey in 10 zones. Our findings showed that Sajith Premadasa had the least appeal amongst minorities. When we compare Gotabe Rajpaksha, Anurakumara Disanayaka, Sajith Premadasa, we witnessed that minorities preferred Gotabe Rajpaksha. We did not see Sajith Premadasa having much support in any of these areas. We did a second survey comparing Gotabe Rajpaksha, Anurakumara Disanayaka and Karu Jayasuriya. We discovered that although Gotabe Rajpaksha received the most support, Karu Jayasuriya too received considerable support in 7 zones. Therefore, Karu Jayasuriya has more appeal than Sajith Premadasa. Now moving on with other stories, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will undertake an official visit to the Maldives next week on an invitation by Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih. The two leaders are expected to hold talks on promoting closer cooperation between the two nations in various spheres. Regional and global issues which have direct and indirect impact on both countries will also take centre stage during their meeting in Mali. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe is also scheduled to chair the 4th edition of Indian Ocean Conference to be held in the Maldives on the 3rd of September. Now, in the meantime, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan attaches great value to the country's close and friendly relations with Sri Lanka. A Sri Lankan delegation called on Prime Minister Khan yesterday to gift eye corneas to sight-disabled people in Pakistan. The initiative was taken by the Sri Lankan High Commission in Islamabad in collaboration with the Sri Lankan Eye Donation Society. While highly appreciating the humanitarian gesture, Khan said that it was a great initiative to provide corneas on humanitarian basis, which would enable people to regain their eyesight. Saying that Pakistan deeply values its close and friendly relations with Sri Lanka, the Pakistan Premier added that these relations have been nurtured over decades through a continuous interaction at bilateral, regional and international levels. The Prime Minister also expressed satisfaction on the growing people-to-people contacts between the two countries as well. We're going to move in for a very short break and there'll be more news on the other side of it. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Chairman of National Maritime Foundation of India, Admiral Sunil Lanba, insists that ensuring peace and stability in the Indian Ocean region is a strategic necessity for its member countries, as this will help harness the vast potential of the region for unsustained, or more like sustained, growth and development. Admiral Lanba also highlighted with over 50% of seaborne trade and 40% of global oil supply carried over international sea lanes of the Indian Ocean region each year, unhindered maritime trade through the Indian Ocean is of tremendous significance to the entire world. Chairman of the National Maritime Foundation of India expressed these views during a panel discussion titled The Indian Ocean Strategic Trading and Environmental Aspects, held in Colombo today.
The unprecedented development of the Indian Ocean region could not have been possible in an insulated environment. International trade remains the prime mover of economic progress. Approximately 50% of global seaborne trade and 40% of world oil supply is carried over international sea lanes across the IOR by more than 100,000 ships each year. Unhindered flow of maritime trade through the Indian Ocean region thus assumes tremendous significance for the entire world and underlines the umbilical connection with the economies outside the region. The region is also rich in maritime resources, which are key to sustained growth and development of nations on its rim. The Indian Ocean basin accounts for over 40% of world oil production, 15% of world fish, and large deposits of sulfide of manganese, copper, iron, and nodules of nickel and cobalt. The region has a rich fishing ground, which not only contributes to meeting the nutritional requirements of the resident population, but also to countries' forex reserves through exports. Oceanographic research has indicated the presence of several rare earth minerals whose extraction is not commercially feasible today, but hold the promise of catalyzing economies in the future. Demographically, Indian Ocean region is the home to over 2 billion people, which highlights its immense potential as market for finished goods. Large percent of the population being of working age is also a definite advantage, which is being leveraged by a number of countries in the region to strengthen the economies by providing labor at competitive cost. However, the same population dividend has resulted in increased competition for available resources between states. This resource competition provides a clear and present threat to the prevalent geopolitical fragility of the region, which can have serious ramifications not only on regional security and stability, but on the global stage too. Therefore, ensuring an environment of peace and stability in the Indian Ocean becomes a strategic necessity, because only when there is guarantee of security in the region will we be able to optimally harness the vast potential of the region for a sustained growth and development.
And now to give you a market update, shares snapped 4 straight sessions of falls as investors picked up beaten down banking and diversified stocks. Meanwhile, foreign investors sold a net 12.9 billion rupees worth of government securities in the week ended 21st of August, the worst weekly outflow in 8 months. Furthermore, the all share price index ended 0.46% firmer at 5,908.93, while market turnover was 550.9 million rupees. Let's take a look at how the markets performed during the day.
In the bond market, ahead of the weekly bill auction, a slight buying interest was witnessed during the early hours of trading. However, foreign selling continued to dominate the market, especially in the mid to long tenor counters. In the equity market, the market rebounded today to positive territory, predominantly on the gains by the big caps John Case Holdings. The SPI had an upward trend throughout the trading session, with a sideways movement reaching an intraday high of 5,911 points.
Sri Lankan rupee ended 0.1% weaker at 179 rupees and 25.85 cents against the US dollar, compared with yesterday's close of 179 rupees and 62.70 cents. Now here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies around the world. What's happening with the Amazon? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now the Brazilian government has said it will reject an offer of aid from G7 countries to help tackle fires in the Amazon rainforest. French President Emmanuel Macron, who hosted a G7 summit that ended yesterday, said $22 million would be released. But Brazilian ministers say the money is not needed and accuse foreign powers of wanting control of the Amazon. Satellite data shows fires, mostly in the Amazon, are burning at record levels. Commenting on the G7 offer of aid, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro's chief of staff told a news website, quote, "Thanks, but maybe those resources are more relevant to reforest Europe. Macron cannot even avoid a predictable fire in a church that is part of the world's heritage, and he wants to give us lessons for our country," unquote. The comment was in a reference to the fire that hit Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris during April. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has urged the United States to take the first step towards dialogue by lifting sanctions against Iran. He said that without this step, this lock will not be unlocked. Rouhani spoke a day after President Donald Trump said he was open to a meeting if the circumstances were right. Tensions between the US and Iran have escalated since Trump abandoned a deal limiting Iran's nuclear activities last year and reinstated sanctions. He wants a new agreement that would place indefinite curbs on Iran's nuclear program and also halt its development of ballistic missiles, which Iran has refused. Other world powers party to the 2015 deal, the UK, France, Germany, China and Russia, have tried to keep it alive. But the sanctions have caused Iran's oil exports to collapse, the value of its currency to plummet and sent inflation soaring. After the US sought to reduce Iran's oil exports to zero earlier this year, it responded by suspending some commitments enshrined in the nuclear agreement. It has threatened to go further if its economy were not to be shielded from the sanctions' effects.
از تحریم برگردید تمام تحریم های علیه
Serena Williams trounced old foe Maria Sharapova 6-1, 6-1 in their blockbuster first-round clash at the US Open in New York yesterday to get her quest for a record-tying 24th Grand Slam title off to a flying start. Williams' standing 21st career Grand Slam title will be Bosnia's Damir Zamur. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.